Hello everyone and welcome to the latest edition of Wordy Wednesday from Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark. So we're on our third episode now on the life of Dr. Samuel Johnson and looking at some of the more interesting and amusing phrases and definitions he has in his dictionary. This is an edited copy of the dictionary that I've got. I believe the real dictionary would go to 2 volumes at least. It contains over 40,000 words that he put together, which, is quite a feat given the time and stuff that he did it. Of course, he did have a few assistants and things to help him do that, but we shall come to how he got on to making the dictionary later in his life story. When we last left our hero, the young Johnson, he had to give up his schooling in order to help out his financially strapped parents in their bookshop in Lichfield, the town he was born. And we saw that he repaired books there, but more importantly, of course, for his later career, he read a huge number of the books that were on sale there or housed there. So moving on with our story on his life, sadly for the family, but fortunately for Johnson, as it turned out, his mother's cousin, Elizabeth Harriet, died in February 1728, and she left him an inheritance, basically just enough money to send him to university. And just after he turned 19 years old, he enrolled in Pembroke College at Oxford University. However, not all of his expenses were covered by this inheritance, but luckily he had a friend called Andrew Corbett who offered to make up the difference in the cost there, and of course helped him remain at university for a while at least. While at Pembroke, he produced a Latin translation of Alexander Pope's Messiah, and he achieved this in a very short time. He basically spent one afternoon and then a small part of the next morning doing it, and this translation appeared in a book that was edited by one of his tutors at Pembroke. And this book was published in 1731, and it became basically the earliest known publication of a work by Samuel Johnson. Fortunately, or unfortunately, definitely unfortunately, the Johnson family money troubles resurfaced, and they forced him to leave Oxford after only 13 months there. And unfortunately as well, he wasn't able to get his degree, and he once again returned to Lichfield to be with his family. So we'll leave our story there and now have a look at some of the amusing and interesting phrases and definitions that I picked out this week from my trusty dictionary. So the first one I really like. It's a bit odd. It's a couple beggar. A couple beggar. And this is one that makes it his business to marry beggars to each other. So I guess it shows, something of the time, doesn't it? One, that there's enough beggars to be able to make a business out of them. And then kind of strange to make it your business out of people who haven't got much money anyway. Kind of weird as well, I suppose, that beggars are marrying beggars. But then I suppose, what are your marriage prospects if you're a beggar anyway? So maybe it's not surprising. But yeah, there was an actual phrase, couple beggar. The next one I like as well is a word we use today, although the spelling is a bit different, and it's the verb to hiccup. To hiccup. Johnson spells it Hiccup, and I really like the definition he gives, which is to sob with a convulsed stomach. So when you hiccup, apparently you sob with a convulsed stomach. And an example of it he gives in HUDIBRAS, which is, quoth he, to bid me not to love, is to forbid my pulse to move, my beard to grow, my ears to prick up, or when I'm in a fit, to hiccup. There we go, very nice. The third one's lovely. I really like this one. And it's a kissing crust. Kissing crust. And apparently a kissing crust It's the crust that's formed when loaves of bread touch each other in the oven. So if you have two loaves of bread, they're next to each other, they're touching each other. When they're baked in the oven, it forms a crust, and this is known as a kissing crust. Isn't that lovely? I think that's really great. I really like that one. Our fourth word for today is lip wisdom. Lip wisdom. And apparently this is wisdom in talk without practice. Wisdom in talk without practice. And he gives a quote from Sidney. I find that all is but lip wisdom, which wants experience. I now, woe is me, do try what love can do. So there you go, lip wisdom. I'm sure a few of us are guilty of that from time to time. But, maybe, or maybe just me, but we'll see. Okay, next one. I love these. I tell you, I'm in fits sometimes reading these definitions. They're great, and they're just some of the words don't seem real to me. But the fifth word I've chosen for today is nidget. Not midget, but nidget. And this is an opprobrious term, with which the man was anciently branded who refused to come to the royal standard in times of emergency. In other words, a coward or a dastard. I guess that's where dastardly comes from, so someone could be a dastard. But yes, that's the nidget. Nidget, I like that very much. So I suppose it would be, for example, if you with what's the show? Game of Thrones, for example, when they call the bannerman and stuff like this. So failing to come would label you a nidget, right? Okay, the last one is simple, and it's to PARBREAK. To PARBREAK, and this just means to vomit. There you go. So next time you're being ill, I'm sure you'll have other things on your mind, but you might think instead of I'm going to vomit, you might say I'm going to PARBREAK. I'm going to PARBREAK. As usual, of course, I'll put the words down below, and we'll pick up again next week, continuing with our little look at his life. It's only an overview. I mean, I'm not, big academic on Johnson or something. I just find his life interesting. He's an interesting character, and as I say, specifically, I really find the words and things that he used, that he writes down, to be fascinating, and a lot of it actually, if you forgive me a little bit of a tangent or reminiscence, goes back to when I was a kid, and I don't know if any of you saw the series Blackadder, British sitcom or comedy show, and there was the third series, which was set during Regency, England, with the Prince Regent and the character Blackadder played by Rowan Atkinson. Prince Regent, of course, Dr. House, Hugh Laurie, and there's one where Dr. Johnson, played by Robbie Coltrane, I think, of course, Hagrid from Harry Potter, turns up wanting the Prince Regent to patronise his dictionary, and they end up destroying it, and then they're afraid of him and his reputation for being a bit of a brawler. And watching that, I found it very funny. And I suppose that's really the first time I came across Johnson, and since then I kind of I've always touched on him when possible. Now this series is not going to be only about him. I'm probably going to do, I don't know how many more episodes, because obviously I'm not going to go through the whole book, but I will hopefully look at other things, because I love the English language, and there are many things we can do. But I thought it'd be nice to have some kind of continuation of a series. So at least the first maybe 5 episodes of Wordy Wednesdays we'll look at Johnson, and then we'll move on to something else. But I hope you enjoy it. It's, for me, it's nice to do something a little bit different as well. So excellent. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care, stay safe and healthy, and until the next video, all the best. Bye bye.